Are you ready to transform your summer into an epic splash-tastic adventure? Say goodbye to wasteful, single-use water balloons and hello to the ultimate in reusable, eco-friendly fun with reusable water balloons. Check out the link in the video description to get yours on Amazon today.
Esichi famously went face-to-face with vicious murderers and developed the FBI playbook for profiling serial killers. Dr. Ann Burgess, now 87, was recruited by the agency to get inside the minds of violent offenders after her pioneering work on rape victimology in the 70s. The psychiatric nurse, who worked in the FBI's behavioral science unit, formed the blueprint that helps to profile killers that is still used to this day. It was developed after she started to spot patterns and similarities between offenders while listening to their confession tapes and interviewing many herself. Among the notorious killers they spoke to were the co-ed killer Edmund Kemper, BTK Dennis Rader and Taco Bell strangler Henry Wallace. Highlighting just a few of the connections, Burgess told The Guardian, "They had always said that these guys had domineering mothers. What we found out is they had an absent father. They're very bright, which was important, that meant they used their heads. Their cognitions were better than average. They did a lot of thinking. They did a lot of what we eventually called fantasy. The other important thing is that they couldn't stop themselves." Burgess also pointed out that childhood trauma was a commonality among many serial killers, who often obsessed over one specific incident from their younger years. She explained, "You can generally find the origin of the criminal tendencies, if you will, in an early experience or something." Burgess's work also led to a change in how crime scenes were analyzed. Instead of trying to work out if they were organized or disorganized, she pushed for investigators to ask different questions to help identify who the perpetrator could be. She recalled, "What was the gender of the person? What was the race of the person? What was the age? Did he work? Did he have any friends or was he married?" All of those kinds of questions are what you need for a profile. Now Burgess is the focus of a new 3-part Hulu documentary Mastermind, To Think Like a Killer, produced by actresses Dakota and Elle Fanning. Ahead of its release tomorrow, we look into her fascinating life and some of her remarks about serial killers she has analyzed. Burgess, who grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, honed her valuable interviewing skills early on in her career while training to become a psychiatric nurse. She studied human behavior for years while working at a psychiatric unit and later learned the right questions to ask sensitively to draw out information from rape victims that could identify their attackers. Burgess came to the attention of the FBI after her pioneering work interviewing survivors of rape and sexual abuse at a time when there was a blame the victim mentality. She and collaborator Linda Holmstrom's 1973 article, The Rape Victim in the Emergency Ward, found attacks were more about power and control than the act of sex. It was this specialist research that led William Webster, the then director of the FBI, to recruit Burgess for the Academy to teach recruits about sexual assault and trauma in 1978. There, she recognized it was imperative to analyze both the victims' and perpetrators' perspectives to understand crime, and soon was tasked with analyzing recordings by killers. While listening to them and conducting chats herself, she discovered something she had never noticed before, patterns that linked attackers, which formed the methodology that helped to solve future cases. She taught us how to harness the chaos of serial killers' minds and helped us decipher the undecipherable. Speaking about how it works, Burgess said, "I think it's helped to capture serial perpetrators because we talk about patterns. If you've got a serial killer, you're going to have patterns. They don't just do one thing one way and one thing the other." Surprisingly, one of the uniting factors for many of the killers interviewed and analyzed by her team was that they were often very likable, which played into their ability to manipulate others. Burgess previously told us, the key was not getting manipulated but still being able to see them as persons that have important information, certainly from a research standpoint. But some of the serial killers were actually likable, if you didn't know what they had done. The likable part of them is what comes through in the interview. Surprisingly, Berg